All right, before we jump into this week's topic, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you guys for getting me to 100 subscribers. I'm so grateful for every single one of you. I feel like this channel obviously is really new, but it's something that's been an idea in my head for over a year. It took me so much courage to be able to get in front of the camera and just be raw, be real, be vulnerable, especially because it's just hard sometimes in general to be that way in real life, let alone in front of a bunch of people. So to me, this was a huge milestone and I'm super grateful, and thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. So now that I got that off my chest, I will jump right into this week's topic, which is don't take anything personally. This is a hard one. This is a hard one, especially because this can be such a broad topic, and I'll try to make it as streamlined as possible. I feel like the most difficult times to deal with this is when it comes from people that we love. Sometimes people may lash out at us and we don't know why. If you do something sometimes, or if you don't do anything sometimes, and someone lashes out at you and you find yourself questioning, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything to hurt this person. I didn't do anything with malintent. I didn't do anything that would cause them to treat me like this. It's very easy to start putting the blame on ourselves, to start questioning what's wrong with me for them to do that to me. What did I do wrong for them to want to do that or treat me that way or talk to me that way? And a lot of times we tend to look within instead of looking without. And what that means is a lot of times whenever something happens to you and you can't quite figure out what you did wrong to deserve it, it has a lot more to do with them, not with you. And let me explain. A lot of times as human beings, most people, it's hard for them to be vulnerable. It's hard for them to be raw, to be real, especially because society tells us it's like weak a lot of times to show our feelings, show our emotions. So with that being said, people tend to bottle things up a lot. And that's anybody, that's everyone across the spectrum of all humans, right? So with that being said, sometimes people get fed up. Sometimes that bottling up, the bottle fills all the way up to the top, and people naturally release. There is a reaction. They let it all out. And if you're in the wrong place, wrong time, sometimes they can let it all out on you. And maybe you're not deserving of whatever it is, but you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when, have you heard that saying, the straw that broke the camel's back? That straw landed and boom, catastrophe. So with that being said, when we start to accept that everything that we do as human beings is a direct correlation of how we feel about ourselves, we tend to become immune to unnecessary suffering, right? For example, have you ever had like a day where everything's great, like life is good, maybe you just got an extra paycheck you weren't expecting, you got some extra money in the bank, now you're holding doors open for strangers, you're smiling at everybody, you're in a good mood. Why would you ever lash out when everything's good in your life? You're not going to move like that. You're going to move with grace, with happiness, with kindness, with love, right? Unfortunately, looking at it from the opposite perspective, if you got really bad news one day, you're probably going to be kind of to yourself, kind of slugging around, kind of just not wanting to talk to anybody. So if you have, imagine those two characters, the version of you that is happy-go-lucky, the version of you that unfortunately isn't having the best day. If something else were to happen throughout these two characters in their day, it's either gonna enhance their experience in a good way or a bad way. It's either gonna make you even happier or it will become the straw that broke the camel's back. It's almost like when you're like, you cannot handle just one more thing happening or you might snap, like that. So with that being said, if you take yourself out of that equation and put whoever it is that may have hurt you in that space, you start to understand people better. You start to show people grace more. Not saying that you need to tolerate any because no, we don't do that, of course. But you start to understand that a lot of times it has a lot less to do with you and a whole lot more to do with them. My point is, we never know, and I stress this probably in every video, what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know somebody's pain. You don't know somebody's suffering. So with that being said, whether it's somebody you love, which yes, it may sting more, or a stranger, learning to show them grace because at the end of the day, their reaction probably has a lot more to do with what's going on behind those closed doors rather than you, right? So I guess to wrap it up, this is something that I actually experienced just this past weekend. I had a situation where I was just in the wrong place, wrong time. Someone lashed out at me. I was taken back. And then I realized that people have things that go on that they choose to tell maybe their close friends, maybe everybody, or maybe nobody at all, right? So with that being said, sometimes we have to learn that somebody's reaction is a direct correlation of actions that may have happened to them at some point before the very moment you're around them. Earlier that day, earlier that week, maybe even earlier this year, and they're still healing from it. So to wrap up this week's Get Vulnerable with me, learning not to take things personally and learning that everybody's reactions is a projection of how they feel about themselves, of their reality, of their dreams, of what they're experiencing. And the more that we learn to take ourselves out of that equation, the more that we're not going to continue to put ourselves through this mental suffering, through these mental hula hoops of what's wrong with me? What did I do to deserve this? And more, maybe even extending a hand. Hey, you don't seem yourself. What can I do to be a good friend to you in this moment? Because I know this isn't you, right? So this has been something that I've been putting into practice a lot, and it's allowed me to live a much more peaceful life, learning that the entire world is a projection of how somebody sees themselves. So you learn not to take things personally because you know that it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. But anyways, this is something that I needed to hear from me to me today. I hope it resonates with some of you out there. As always, thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. I hope that you guys can take these messages with you deep within your hearts for the rest of the week. Until next week, until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. And as always, I'll see you next time. Thank you guys.